Saints, I'm going to prove to you today that we all willfully sin. I'm not saying that we should, but we all willfully sin. You may be like, what? What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? We willfully sin? Hear me out. Hear me out. Especially young Don. But hear me out, guys. So let me give you the scriptures really quick. The law is written on our hearts. 2 Corinthians 3:3. You show that you are a letter from Christ, the result of our ministry, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on the tablets of human hearts. And this is Hebrews 8:10. This is the covenant I will establish with the people of Israel. After that time, declares the Lord, I will put my laws in their minds and write them on their hearts. I will be their God and they will be my people. Since we have the law written on our hearts, and I'm going to review this Young Don video in a moment. But since we have the law written on our hearts, we should know what is right and wrong, right? There is very few instances where you can claim you don't know what's right and wrong. Usually some kids don't know. But there's very, 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 very few instances where you're just totally ignorant of what's right and wrong. Especially if you're born again, you have the law written on your heart, but we still sin. So hear me out. If we know what's right and wrong and yet we still sin, and nobody is forcing us to sin. So let's hear Young Don's really silly argument about what he thinks is an accident, a slip up. He's like, they believe in slip ups, but is it really a slip up, saints? Is it really a slip up? Or are they just giving an excuse?
That is abundantly clear. You know what I'm saying? When I talk about people falling victim to the works of the flesh, I'm talking about, things where there was no conscious decision made. Things where...
Hold up. No conscious decision made. So it seems like he's taking away the responsibility from him. Oh, I wasn't doing it consciously. Therefore, I was forced to sin. My flesh made me sin. You're relegating responsibility away from yourself to support his ideology that he doesn't willfully sin. Therefore, he's a good Christian and he's going to make it to heaven.
You're driving along the road and somebody, sideswipes you or cuts you off and almost causes an accident. And in an instant, you wish something bad upon that person or you cuss or something.
That is willful sin, Young Don. You chose to do that. You didn't have to do that. I mean, who was forcing you to do that? Who forces us to sin or to curse or to wish something bad upon somebody? Nobody forces us to do that. So if nobody forces us to do that, and he would admit that he knows it's wrong, it's willful sin.
Like that, right? And you fall short of the glory of God. That is because of the fallen nature of your flesh. You didn't premeditate that. This is not something you're doing on an ongoing basis, a habitual premeditated basis.
We sin every day. So we essentially live a lifestyle of sin. Anything you do every day is a lifestyle. Doing something every day is habitual.
So nobody's a perfect Christian upon conversion. No doubt about it. Sanctification is a process, true. However, what you're supposed to see is evidence of correction. What you're supposed to see is evidence of conviction and guilt and true sorrow. True, it should be
See, he's adding works to the gospel. You should see this. You should see evidence. You should see true sorrow, conviction, which I think we should have true sorrow and conviction. But it's like a fruit inspector. We don't need to look at somebody else and be like, that person's not truly feeling sorry about the sin that they did. Therefore, they're not genuinely saved. They're not a Christian. Like, that is so judgmental. Now, I don't know what Young Don and these works-based righteousness teachers believe. Maybe they believe they're possessed by the devil. Maybe so. Are they possessed by the devil and somebody else is forcing them to sin? Is Satan himself forcing Young Don and these people to sin? This is what these people say, y'all. These people say, Young Don and Isaiah Saldivar and everybody, if you are in willful sin, you are in danger of hellfire. They say that, but they willful sin. I'd say every day. Here's the breakdown, y'all. Here's the breakdown. If you say you have no sin, the truth is not in you. So we all still sin. And if we're adults and we're born again Christians, we should know right from wrong, right? So if we still sin and we know right from wrong, the sin that we still do is willful. And if nobody else is forcing us to do that sin, we are willfully sinning. The only way we can't willfully sin is, number one, if we don't know what is sin, or number two, something else is forcing us to sin. Now, again, number one, we don't know what's right from wrong, or number two, something else is forcing us to sin against our will. If number two is correct, you are admitting to having a demon, or the satanic kingdom is having more power and control over you than God's Holy Spirit. I know that's a lie. No satanic power has more control over me. I'm not possessed. Satan can't make me sin. Demons can't make me sin. The satanic kingdom can't make me sin. The fact is, these people don't want to take responsibility. They are willfully sinning, and they're claiming if you willfully sin, you are going to hell. That's what these people claim. But they willfully sin every day, and I would actually say more so than the people who believe we're saved by grace through faith alone. Now, I'm for sure not saying that we should sin more. I'm not, making an argument for us to sin. Sin, the wages of sin is still death. It's just not going to lead to eternal death for us born-again believers. There is actually a sin that can still lead to death. It's not eternal death, but you could sin as a Christian and God can take you out of this world. There is a sin that leads to death. It's in the Bible for the believer. And just the consequences alone of sin is awful. We should do our best to avoid sin. Number one, to please God. We should please God. We should want to please God. And the consequences, you don't want to deal with it. Nobody wants to deal with the consequences of sin. It can actually lead to physical death. However, sin will not take you to hell as a born-again Christian. I mean, hey, if you are in your right mind, if the law of God is written on your heart, you have the Bible, you're an adult, you know right from wrong, or you should know, and you sin, it has to be willful for the most part. There might be a very, 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 very few amount of sins where it's not willful, meaning you just don't know something you did was a sin. And then you later find out it's a sin. But I think that's the exception. That's the rarity. So my argument, and let me know if you agree, most people, even Christians, willfully sin. And all these works-based righteousness teachers say, like Young Don, they say, if you willfully sin, hey, you're probably not a Christian or you're going to hell if you are. That is so judgmental. Young Don is willfully sinning. I would say we all are, saints. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know in the comments. Give me a good explanation biblically on why, we don't willfully sin. I say we do because we know right from wrong. Nobody's forcing us to sin. So, we can't put the blame on anybody else. We can't say Satan made me do it. The demons made me do it. My flesh made me do it. We chose to do it. It's a choice. We have free will. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Until next time, may the Lord keep you. May he shine his face upon you. In Jesus' mighty name.